It's a short period in history where we've discovered this extraordinary material and then based a whole way of life around it. But as we straddle the top of this energy mountain at this stage, we move from a time where our economic success, our sense of individual prowess and well-being is directly linked to how much of this we consume, to a time when actually our degree of oil dependency is our degree of vulnerability. And it's increasingly clear that we aren't going to be able to rely on the fact that we're going to have this at our disposal forever.
So before we get back to what makes Totnes different, here's the reality we all face. Over the past decade, humans have figured out new ways to extract oil from the earth. And it means we have more of it than we've ever had before. And that's made us increasingly complacent about the need to find alternative energy solutions, even though we know that sooner or later oil will run its course. And that until it does, burning that oil for our cars and factories and planes is making climate change worse.
Because every year we've had slightly more of it. You know, my parents' generation had less of it than my parents had. My generation had more than their generation have had. Of course, it's been remarkable. It's enabled us to do things that our grandparents could never have even dreamed of. But at the same time, when you then come up against a challenge that says, if you carry on using fossil fuels in this kind of a way, you take humanity out of that band within which human civilization emerged and flourished and did everything that we associate with being human.
Which is why it's no coincidence, Rob says, that so many of the stories we tell about a world without oil are stories about a world without humanity, like WALL-E, sorting out trash on a humanless planet, or other post-apocalyptic stories
In this wasteland,
like Mad Max.
I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead.
What always intrigues me as well is how, as a society, we find it very easy to produce stuff like Mad Max, or all these films about society unraveling and everybody eating each other and, you know, killer zombie robot diseases on the loose, whatever it is. But where are the stories about how, as a society, we came together, we responded with creativity, with compassion, with ingenuity, to design a way through this to a safe place?
Okay, aside from the fact that that would make a really boring movie, it does nonetheless sound like a nice way to build a community. Which brings us back to Totnes, that small town in the UK where and what happened was that a couple years ago, Rob and a bunch of people there looked around and they realized that almost everything they bought or consumed depended on oil. So they started to ask questions.
Do you need to use it to drive salads from one end of the country to the other? You know, do you have business models where chain food businesses that assume that you should be able to walk into one of their restaurants anywhere in the country and the burgers and the salad taste exactly the same at any time of year? Yes, maybe use it for antibiotics, for medicines, for those things that you need. But you don't extract it in Saudi Arabia, process it, refine it in wherever, in Yemen, take it to China, make it into a cheap plastic toy that you then send to the US and it breaks within a week and ends up in landfill.
So, to be clear, Rob is not suggesting that towns like Totnes build a big fence and never let anything in or out.